Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So my name is Chris Hamilton. I'm here with Enbridge, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today. I was asked to speak a little bit about the programs that Enbridge has to offer. So I'll give you a quick overview of our programs for multi-residential housing. Multi-residential housing, just as a note, is one of our most critical sectors or verticals of business. Makes up about 40% of our commercial results, so it's a significant contributor for us and a very important sector. So much so that we actually have about 6 different people involved in the sector. So some names you might know: Dominic DeMuzio, Oksana Varcola, Cam Black, Carmen Fiella, Mike Dunn, Luigi Pisani. These are all names that potentially you've worked with in the past, but they're involved with this sector. Just a quick agenda this morning or this afternoon. I'll just quickly go over Enbridge gas distribution and our territory, kind of where we cover, why we run our conservation programs, which is always a question we're often asked, at least. Why would you want to sell less of what you're trying to sell? Our programs, what in fact we are offering, and then any next steps for maybe working together on a project. And I'll do the slides here. Terrific. So we're Canada's largest natural gas distribution utility. A year and a half ago, we eclipsed our 2 millionth customer. We employ just over 2,000 people. Our head office is on Consumers Road, which is 401 and 404, basically Vic Park and Shepherd. I wanted to show the difference. You can obviously see the blue and the white. So the blue areas are Enbridge territories, and the white is actually handled by Union Gas. So you can see we've got kind of the Niagara region. I should step closer here. The Niagara region, as well as the Ottawa Valley. And then the blue section is our central section, which covers from Mississauga, say, to Peterborough, and from the lake up to Barrie. The white sections are handled by Union Gas. So we've been offering DSM programs for 20 years, and DSM stands for Demand Side Management, or essentially curbing demand, so conservation. So we've been offering these financial incentives and programs since 1995. The programs are mandated and governed through the Ontario Energy Board, and we're given a hard target of CCM that we need to achieve on an annual basis. And CCM, for those who may not know, is essentially the quantified cubic meters that a project will save multiplied by an approved measure life. So basically how much a project will save multiplied by a lifespan that we're allowed to multiply it by. It ranges from certain projects 5 years, boiler projects up to 25 years. So we get the savings, multiply it by the measure life, and that's the CCM. And we put all of these projects that we're claiming together, and we have to hit a target that's set by the Ontario Energy Board. And the funding for these programs come from our ratepayers, so a small portion of your funds of your rates and your bills are going towards funding these programs. So we encourage you to take as much advantage of these programs as you can. We offer programs for our residential clients, our industrial clients, and our commercial clients. And within our commercial sector, as I said, is our multi-residential housing sector, which is critical to our success. Quite quickly, there's kind of 3 different offers that we have. We offer financial incentives as one, and those can be custom or fixed. We offer an operational improvement program, and we also offer a benchmarking program called Energy Compass. So I'll very quickly detail each of those. I think we're doing okay for time? Yeah, good. So the bulk of our savings come through our custom programs, and essentially a custom calculation is done, custom meaning it's custom to your building. So we are specifically looking at your building, at your address, and how you're consuming gas. We get the consumption of your building, we weather normalize that building to take out any seasonal anomalies or abnormalities. So we've got kind of a weather normalized consumption for your building, and then we look at what equipment you have in the building that's burning gas. So the efficiency of your boilers, if you have other gas loads such as swimming pools or snow melt, heated ventilation, etc. So we've got now a very accurate picture of how your building is consuming gas, and then we simply talk with you or your business partner, your contractor, whoever it might be, about the project that you're thinking of doing. And we would input the efficiencies that you would gain. So we're taking a look at what the pre is, and we take a look at what the post is, and essentially the difference between those two is your savings, multiplied by 10 cents a cubic meter is your incentive. So the value that we bring there, I think, is twofold. One, we're calculating your savings, which would be your avoided gas costs, and two, we're calculating what the financial incentive could be. You can see on the board there, I hope you can see the examples of custom projects. They're the bulk of our projects, larger projects, boiler retrofits, automation controls improvements, pumping improvements, boiler bypass valves, heat reflective panels, and VFDs, or demand control ventilation. Very quickly, there's also prescriptive programs, which we sometimes call fixed. That's another type of incentive. It's kind of based on a widget or a small kind of pre-approved savings level and incentive level. So for example, a low-flow shower head, we offer $6 per low-flow shower head. So if you're doing 100 suites, it would be $600. So these are not custom calculations, but it's a prescriptive or fixed amount. And I have brochures, I put some out on the table here, which lists all the different prescriptive offers that we have. I can tell you a little bit about the Run It Right program, which is our recommissioning program. So essentially what this program is, if you qualify for the program, we'll pay for a walkthrough audit to be done at your site. The auditing firm, we use a few different firms, but the auditing firm that comes out to your site will walk through the facility with you. We'll identify what gas burning or gas consuming equipment you have, as well as try to identify some recommended or possible measures that you could take advantage of to achieve savings. So these are not capital projects, but we consider them low cost or no cost types of recommissioning measures. So for example, adding insulation to piping, lowering set points, better scheduling or tighter scheduling, just little things like that that might help you save gas. Then you're presented with a report for the walkthrough audit, as well as these recommendations. You go through the recommendations, you choose what you're interested in doing, so you might want to do a couple here, you're not interested in this one, do a couple here, etc. You select the firm that you'd like to do this work for you, so it could be your favorite, most frequently used contractor, it could be your own in-house staff, whomever it might be. You pay the invoice for getting the work done, provide a copy of the invoice to us. If it's your own staff, you just give us a spreadsheet showing kind of the hourly rate and the cost breakdown. And we reimburse you 100% other than the HST, but we reimburse you 100% up to our predetermined level. So that can go up to $10,000. So it's a terrific program. And you should be without cost other than the tax, and you definitely should achieve savings. We strive for about 5% savings for a recommissioning program. Energy Compass, that's the last kind of program I wanted to speak about, and then I'll give a couple examples of some projects that we did similar to how Mike handled his talk. But the Energy Compass program is a benchmarking program, so it's a good fit for you if you have 5 properties or more. Essentially what we're doing is, if you applied to the program, you would fill out a spreadsheet for your different properties. So you'd list your properties, you'd list the gas account numbers for those properties. You'd fill out the various columns, so it's going to be year of construction, type of construction, footprint, kind of square footage, number of floors, etc. Any other gas load, such as if there's pool, common room, things like that. So you provide us with that spreadsheet, and we do some analysis on the gas intensity or the predicted gas intensity of the buildings. So kind of how much you're consuming at that building versus what one might expect you to consume. And I'll show it here, it's a little easier to see. You're going to get a report back similar to this. So essentially it's going to rank all of your buildings, and the ones on the left would be high intensity buildings, meaning these are buildings that are consuming more gas than one might expect. And the buildings on the right are ones who are consuming less gas than you might expect. And essentially it can aid in kind of capital planning, in that you know, if you had some money to spend this year, you know, the idea would be you'd maybe want to concentrate more on the left-hand side than the right. As well on the right-hand side, maybe you've done some things that, whether it's recommissioning or something that your buildings on the left could take advantage of. That program is completely complementary, as are all of our programs. So I'll just give you a couple examples just to make it a little more tangible about a few recent projects that we've incented. So this is a boiler project at a building with 103 suites. Basically, they removed their older atmospheric boilers, both heating and domestic. They pulled those out. They put in condensing boilers. They also added an indoor-outdoor reset control, so they improved the controls of the boilers and the pumping. So it went from continuous pumping to intermittent pumping. The applicable project cost was about $46,000, and the gas savings was about 80,000 cubic meters. So the average price of gas maybe about 25 cents or so, hence the avoided gas cost. So it costs $46,000 in applicable project cost, and the annual savings in avoided gas is just under $20,000, and our incentive was $9,600. I'd said our approved gas rate is 10 cents a cubic meter, but if you do the math between $80,000 and $9,600, you'll get to 12 cents, and that's because they're condensing boilers. The bulk of our incentives are 10 cents, but any condensing technology is 12 cents. So that's where the incentive comes in, and you can see the payback's really attractive. We don't always see paybacks like that, to be quite honest, in boilers, but without a doubt, our incentives can help lower the ROI and maybe even get the ROI under a threshold so a project gets moved through. One other example I want to give, it says a recent boiler project, but this is actually a VFD, larger building, more consumption. So they had, as you can see, gas-fired makeup air unit for common area heating. So a 30,000 CFM unit that was going 100% 24/7. So it was basically kind of a binary system. It was either on or off, but this one was always on, 24/7, 100%. And they installed a VFD, and if, for anyone who doesn't know, VFD stands for Variable Frequency Drive. So essentially it's like putting almost like a gas pedal on it. It can now ramp up and ramp down versus just being on or off. So VFDs can operate on two things. In fact, this, I'm not certain this room, I should have looked around before. I know we did in the Greater Ballroom a VFD project here at this hotel. VFD can operate two ways. One can be based on demand, so a very intelligent system works on demand control ventilation. So for example, might have a CO2 sensor. I'm probably running long here. Am I getting close? So as more CO2 is detected in the room, one would assume that the occupancy is increased and the activity level, maybe there's dancing, the activity level is increased in the room, therefore the makeup air unit's going to ramp up. It's going to provide more fresh air. If this room is vacant, as it will be this afternoon, the VFD will really ramp down, maybe even turn off. That's demand control ventilation, but most of the time in multi-res buildings we don't see demand control ventilation, we see scheduled ventilation, and that's what this project is. So you can see that they went from 24/7 at 100% to 90% during peak hours, and we would know what those peak hours are. I don't have them up here, but you know, maybe in the morning while people are going to work, in the evening when they return, and 70% for the remaining hours. So essentially we've done a custom calculation just saying this is the consumption pre, we look at the consumption after. They're going to save 53,000 cubic meters of gas a year at roughly 25 cents, depending on what they're paying for gas, $16,000 in avoided gas cost, and a $5,300 check in terms of an incentive. And a very quick payback on this project. Our VFD projects, we see great paybacks on. So, just a quick summary, those are our programs, our custom programs, our prescriptive programs are fixed, our recommissioning program, and the benchmarking program for portfolios. We offer technical advice, as I mentioned, through those ESCs. We can offer all kinds of assistance in terms of kind of vetting projects or what you might be thinking of. We love to have conversations like that. We also provide third-party, kind of unbiased energy saving estimates. I'll also note there's some brochures up here. I put a copy of a case study we put together on Starlight Investments. I don't think there's anyone from Starlight in the room, but essentially we work with Starlight. The way that Starlight, we got started with them, they did the Energy Compass program, which is that benchmarking program. And out of 100 or so properties in the GTA, they identified 45 that they wanted to kind of attack first and foremost. And over 2 years, they worked on various projects from boiler retrofits to controls, heat reflective panels, et cetera, VFDs, at those 45 projects. And we gave them, I think the incentives were close to $250,000, and they're saving about $500,000 or so a year. So with projects like that, you know, you can greatly improve your bottom line at a property, you'll increase tenant comfort, and you're improving the value of your portfolio. Just a quick last slide. How should we start? I think it's as easy as picking up the phone. Give us a call. We're happy to talk. We can bring a number of things with us to the first meeting. So your historical consumption, your weather normalized consumption, your current gas rate, projects that you have done at various buildings in the past, which I think is good, especially if you're new to the company you're working with. We can kind of give you a history of what we've done together, possibly prior to your time, as well as any promotions or programs we have on the go. So as I said, you can reach out to any of the Energy Solutions consultants, or feel free to get in touch with me. I'm happy to help and can direct you whichever way that might be. But essentially, I think that's the moral of the story, is it's a lot of information to take in. There's different programs depending on where your buildings are, but it never hurts to pick up the phone and give a call, and we might be able to provide some support. I'm certain we can do that. We might be able to provide some financial assistance as well. Thank you.
The RHB Insider Network is an RHB Inc. production, publishers of RHB Magazine, and the producers of RHB Newsreel.